Committee to order. Roll call, please.
Alderman Art Woods.
Here.
Alderman Curley.
Here.
Alderman Carr.
Here.
Alderman Messina.
Here.
Alderman Sosmarski.
Here.
Alderwoman Ames. Here. Alderman R.D. Woods.
Here.
Alderman Catalano.
Here. They're all present. I've got approval of minutes for July 10th, 2025, of the Planning, Zoning, and Building Committee minutes.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I got two recommendations. I have approval to enter an intergovernmental agreement with School District 7 and District 100 and Wooddale Park District regarding land cash developer donation payments per section 17.8015 of the Unified Development Ordinance. Is my motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Questions?
Good question.
Mr. Woods? I tried to get by
You're
you.
off to the races.
I tried to get away from you.
Look, it stays good. I just, point of interest, how did we determine what that fee is?
So, our UDO that we amended to include this provision, which most other communities have, and so I think that's why it was added, in 2022. It contains a very complicated formula that takes about 6 pages to explain. But basically, to make it as simple as possible, each development, based on the number of bedrooms and the size of the bedrooms, is expected to produce a certain number of occupants. And that formula is based on a national survey that was undertaken by actually the city of Naperville, and determined on average, how many children are generated from a one-bedroom condo, a one-bedroom apartment, a one-bedroom townhome, and a two-bedroom, 3, 4, 5. And so you come up with a total number of people that are going to be expected to live in a development of 148 units or 150 units, such as, the development next door. And so that's the ultimate population. And then it breaks down the number of children per grade school, per high school, and the number of adults. And those amount of people factor into a calculation that's a multiplier based on, and it gets even more complicated, the average cost of an acre within the community, and then it produces an amount. So it's hard to explain, but it's a complicated formula.
You did well. Thank you.
Yes.
Alderman Curley?
Yeah, just more information, a follow-up. This is a cash donation for purchase of land, as I understand it. No?
No, so there are two different things that we collect. One is through the TIF Act, and that's to pay for the number of children that actually live in a development after it's constructed, and that's an annual payment until the end of the TIF. This one is something that the developer pays, and then it gets distributed to the taxing districts. It's a one-time payment, and what it is, the intent of it is to cover the period of time that the property isn't earning any tax revenue. So let's say a condo building goes in, they've got to get plans prepared, they've got to go through the zoning entitlement process, they've got to get construction drawings, they've got to get their building permit, they've got to construct the structure, and that takes 4 years. And then by the time taxes are collected the following year, there's a pretty big gap of 4 to 5 years where taxing bodies haven't gotten any money. And so this calculation is intended to give some small amount of money to those taxing districts that aren't getting money during that development process.
But it's read as a cash land donation? So they can get land instead of cash?
So the way the ordinance is structured is that every development that adds new residential units has to donate land. But in small developments like this, the amount of land would be, 500 square feet, and it's not significant enough to actually have it donated to the school district or the park district, and they wouldn't want a piece of land that small. So in cases where the land is resulting, first of all, there's no land to provide, in this case for the apartments next door, or in case the districts just want cash instead of that, there's a formula that I just explained that you can convert that amount of land into a cash donation instead.
I guess I misunderstood it, so I thought they had to, I can understand, for example, if you have to do a donation, you want to add more Park District property, for example, and just giving the Park District cash instead of more land, but the purpose is just to give them the cash instead of land.
Yes.
Okay, it's one way. You can get the cash, it's free cash, and that's it, okay. Thank you.
And the districts are all very pleased with this. They've all had their boards sign off on it, and the last step is for the city council to approve it. They are looking forward to getting their donation amounts, and we expect the permit to be issued for the apartments this month, so they would collect their donation amounts. We would send it out to them in September.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Alderman Art Woods.
Yes.
Alderman Curley.
Yes.
Alderman Carr.
Yes.
Alderman Messina.
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski.
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames.
Yes.
Alderman Artie Woods.
Yes.
Alderman Catalano.
Yes.
That passes. Need approval to draft a facade improvement grant agreement with Direct Foods, 390 East Irving Park Road, LLC, for the exterior building of the site and site improvement expenses at 390 East Irving Park Road in the amount not to exceed $200,000.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Roll call. Any questions? Roll call. What?
Well, actually, I'll,
What?
I did get a question from a resident, so just for clarity, so it's recorded, this is the old Majestic Maintenance Building across from, basically Ash Street. Can someone confirm that?
Correct.
It's on the board.
It's on the screen.
There you go. Yep.
But,
I can give a brief overview
Sure.
if you would like more information. All right. So the subject property is located on the south side of Irving Park, east side of town, at the corner with Ash Avenue. The property is zoned C2A, which is a commercial district. This is what the building looks like right now. And this is what the applicant is proposing to do. So the applicant is Direct Food Services, represented by its COO, Diego Diastis, who is here this evening. And DFS is a frozen meal manufacturer that prepares custom meals for airlines, railroads, and for companies selling ready-made meals online. And the intent of this building is to expand their catering business. And so what they are requesting is reimbursement of exterior improvement expenses for a significant renovation of the building. Basically, the Irving Park frontage would be completely reconstructed. It would be taken off and then rebuilt with new masonry, windows, doors, wall-mounted lighting, decorative awnings, and an ornamental cornice. The other walls will be tuck painted and pointed to match the new front facade, and they're also proposing some site improvements that would include foundation landscaping, a masonry trash enclosure, parking lot islands, an ornamental fence, and an ADA ramp. And so this is the site plan. You can see they're even adding these landscape islands within the parking area. And this is their masonry garbage enclosure that they're proposing. And they are proposing landscaping, foundation landscaping. And so, as required by our facade guidelines, to be eligible, they have to be focusing on the street-facing facade and/or areas visible from the right-of-way. And they had to get 2 quotes. This is the lower of the 2 quotes. That came out to $433,000. You will note that paving here is crossed out because it is an ineligible expense under the program. They will be doing the paving, but they are not able to request reimbursement from the facade program for that. And so the program allows up to 50% reimbursement, depending on the total points it was scored. The maximum possible points is 20. It was scored at an 18, which allows them this 50% reimbursement up to a maximum of $200,000. And so the Streetscape and Committee voted 4-0 to recommend approval of entering into a grant agreement to reimburse them 50% up to $200,000. Diego and his, I believe, architect are here this evening. If there's any questions.
Any questions? No questions? Roll call.
Alderman Artwoods?
Yes.
Alderman Curley,
Yes.
Alderman Carr?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski?
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames?
Yes.
Alderman Artie Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Colorado?
Yes. Motion carries. Items to be considered at future meetings. I had none unless anyone has some. None being heard. Need a motion for adjournment.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourned.
All right, I'd like to call to order the Public Works Committee meeting. Let the minute taker note that the same elected officials and staff are present. First, I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from July 10th, 2025.
Second.
Any comments, questions, corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Report and recommendation. We got a bunch of stuff tonight. First, approval of an agreement between the City of Wooddale and CB&I Storage Tank Solutions LLC for the Water Tower 1 reconstruction project in an amount not to exceed $5,113,000. That is my motion.
Second.
Director Lang.
Thank you, Chairman. We held the bid opening for the water tower reconstruction project last week Friday. We only received 1 bid. We knew that there was a limited number of contractors in the Midwest that perform this type of work. We did receive 1 other bid that was received late, so we weren't able to allow it, but was for a higher amount anyway, so not much of a difference there. CB&I performs this type of work regularly. The cost is slightly higher than the engineer's estimate, but within 10%, so not unreasonable. Due to contractor availability and material lead times, it's anticipated that construction wouldn't start until fall 2026 and wrap up towards the end of 2027.
How far after that one's finished would the old one come down then?
Once the new tower is online and we ensure that everything's running operationally smooth, we would begin the demolition of the old tower.
Within a month, within a year?
Within a couple months.
Okay.
We'd probably have to receive bids. The demo
Just-
cost wasn't included in this contract, so we would put that out to bid as well.
Just curious. Any questions, Ms. Alderman Currielli?
The paint, does that include a logo scheme, or is it just the base paint?
Sure, so the base bid that was included in the bid was the white paint with the Black City branded logo. There is an alternate in there for $25,000 for us to work with the painting subcontractor to work out another scheme if that's what the council desires. So we could bring options to you at some point in the future to select from.
Alderman Woods?
Yeah, you said, I mean, project is over. I'm asking because I know that we're tight. And when I read through this, it said that the engineering firm had worked closely with this group to actually put this bid package together, if I read that correctly?
Correct.
So that being said, I would wonder why then, after that collaboration, that there's that 10 to 15% difference.
So the engineer's estimate of probable cost was based on the conceptual level design, and now the bids are based on the actual design documents that were drafted with actual quantities and not just a high-level concept plan.
Got it.
Any other questions? This one? Roll call, please.
Alderman Artwoods,
Yes.
Alderman Curley,
Yes.
Alderman Carr,
Yes.
Alderman Messina,
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski,
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames,
Yes.
Alderman Artie Woods,
Yes.
Alderman Catalano.
Yes.
And that passes. Next, approval of a proposal for professional services from HR Green for the Water Tower 1 Reconstruction Project Phase 3 Engineering in an amount not to exceed $397,195. That is my motion.
Second?
Director?
This is for construction oversight services and inspection services provided by HR Green, and the proposal is just under the amount budgeted for this year.
Any questions on this? Alderwoman Ames?
Is this total for the entire project to, like, from start to finish for the water tower build?
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Alderman Woods?
So again, I talked about this on some of the road projects. I'll ask the same question here. We hired what I would believe to be, as you pointed out, one of a small group of professionals that build these things. They're probably one of the largest locally, at least on my study. So I have to ask the question, looking to save money if we ever can, do we really need full-time supervision for $400,000 to watch guys that this is what they do for a living?
Sure, so the proposal is not necessarily for 100% observation. It's based on assumed number of hours for the duration of the project. Some of their services, like the welding inspection, they actually sub out to other engineering firms that specialize in that work. So it's based upon assumed number of hours, not necessarily 100% being there 100% of the time.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions on this one? Roll call, please.
Alderman Artwoods,
Yes.
Alderman Curley,
Yes.
Alderman Carr,
Yes.
Alderman Messina,
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski,
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames,
Yes.
Alderman Artie Woods,
Yes.
Alderman Catalano.
Yes.
And that passes. Next, approval of proposal for professional services from V3 for the Mary Jane Lane drainage improvement in an amount not to exceed, the updated amount is $48,300. That is my motion.
Second?
Director Lane.
Chairman, I do have a short presentation. Earlier this year, we entered into agreement with V3 Engineering, who is the group that has designed the Maple Meadows Golf Course improvements for the Forest Preserve District, to study the Mary Jane Lane and that southern Ward 3 drainage area to see if there was any opportunity for us to join in their project to provide some benefit to this area. A summary of the report, they did an analysis of the existing conditions and did some hydraulic modeling for the existing conditions and some proposed alternates for some improvements. The existing conditions to the west of Mill Road, there's a rather large watershed area that drains to the east towards Salt Creek. It's about 426 acres. And the existing drainage system on Mary Jane Lane provides a 25-year level of service, which is common for a road project or residential street. The issue is with a 50-year storm and above, the drainage from the west overtops Mill Road and kind of overwhelms the Mary Jane Lane system, so we're collecting all that runoff from the west. There's nothing stopping it until it hits that residential area. So a 25-year storm, just for reference, is a storm that has a 4% chance of occurring in any given year. So you could have 6 25-year storms in a year, you could have 0. It's just how they design projects based on average rainfall data. So this is the inundation map for the existing conditions. The blue area is a 100-year storm event. That's the areas that would flood for a 100-year storm, which is a storm that has 1% chance of occurring in any given year. It's kind of hard to see, but the this hatched white area is the 50-year storm flood areas. So those are the storms that, the areas that would flood for a 50-year storm, which has a 2% chance of occurring in a given year. So the larger storms we're talking. They identified some proposed alternates. The first one studied was just the improvements that the golf course is making, the Forest Preserve is making on the golf course, to see if there's any added benefit just from their improvements. There would be no cost to the city. Still provides the same level of service. There were some minor improvements to the 50 and 100-year storms, but really no difference there. Alternate 2 would be the inclusion of some added detention volume on their property there, about 1.9 acre feet of storage on their property. That would provide, as well as some minor storm sewer improvements at the corner of Mary Jane and Mill and along Mary Jane Lane as well. That would provide a 50-year level of service. There was minimal change to the 100-year event. We would still see flooding during a 100-year storm, which would be the same all over town for plenty of areas. The estimate of probable cost for this is relatively small compared to the benefit. It's $228,000, and that's why it's the recommended alternate. That's why I highlighted it in red. In order to eliminate flooding during a 100-year event, we would have to construct a 55 acre-feet storage basin to the west of Mill Road, which is on Forest Preserve property. No telling that they're gonna, let us do that at all. And that cost was $6.5 million roughly. The option of putting storage underground like we had north of this wasn't really studied too much because it's a much more costly option since we have the available open water storage option in this area. But just for reference, the 1.9 acre-feet of storage that we're proposing with alternate 2 would cost upwards of $2 million to install underneath the roadway. So this would be alternate 2. You see this kind of colored area here would be where the detention basin is. That provides about 1.9 acre-feet of storage. We would connect that hydraulically with the Mary Jane Lane storm sewer. So when the Mary Jane Lane storm sewer is charged, it begins to backflow into the storage basin. We would also separate this inlet here is kind of what collects a lot of the runoff coming from the west. We would separate that from the Mary Jane Lane storage storm sewer system and connect to this 24-inch storm sewer, which drains the Forest Preserve's flood control facilities off to the west and pretty much goes directly to Salt Creek. So we're separating that runoff from the west essentially from the Mary Jane Lane private drainage system. And this is the new inundation map. You'll see no change really to the 100-year flood, but that area that was hatched for the 50-year flooding areas is now gone. So there's no flooding during a 50-year event in this alternate. That's all I have. Answer any questions?
Yeah, so my question is, how's that going to help the adjacent streets, Arlene and Forest Preserve and Gilbert? How's that going to help those streets?
So the proposed improvements also recommends the installation of backflow devices on the storm sewers that are connecting those areas. So one area, as it floods, wouldn't negatively impact the other. So there should be an overall benefit to that entire area.
So the backflow, so what's going to happen is then the water from Mary Jane's not going to go down that route, then it's going to go into the detention.
Correct, yeah. Typically what you see is flooding at the end of the system, which Mary Jane and Mill is the very end of that system. That'll be the first area to flood. Mm-hmm. Now all that water has somewhere else to go. We have, almost 2 acre-feet
And that's going to take the pressure off those streets.
Correct, yeah. Before it's able to flood those streets, it'll fill that basin.
Right. But also in the future, when we reconstruct the streets, we're still going to go ahead and put the bigger sewers in.
Yeah, that we're going to have to study. If you increase the size of the conveyance sewers, you're increasing the runoff into Salt Creek, which would require some permitting through DuPage County Stormwater Management. Right. But it is an option when we reconstruct
But what we
streets.
did in Arlene, we upsized the sewers, right? When we reconstructed the street.
On Arlene, I believe we extended the sewers. I don't know if we increased the diameter, but we extended them.
Any other questions on this one? No? Roll call, please.
Alderman Artwoods,
Yes.
Alderman Currielli,
Yes.
Alderman Carr,
Yes.
Alderman Messina,
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski,
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames,
Yes.
Alderman Artie Woods.
Yes.
Alderman Catalano.
Yes.
And that passes. Next, approval of an agreement with R.W. Dunneman Company for the Elizabeth Drive Multi-Use Path Project in an amount not to exceed $553,433.13. That is my motion.
Second?
Director Lang?
We finally got the stars to align so we could get this project to a letting. It was let on August 1st, the state letting, because it's federally funded. We got 8 bids, I believe, and the lowest was R.W. Dunneman, slightly higher than the engineer's estimate because it's a lower quantity or a lower number of bid items. It's probably just a difference in the item price for those items. It's basically just removal and paving, so slight adjustments in those could lead to the overall impact on the bottom line. So this project, we're trying to get the contractor out middle of September to begin to get the path in before the plant's closed, and if need be, we could come back in the spring and finish up the landscaping.
That's what I was going to ask. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Artwoods,
Yes.
Alderman Curley,
Yes.
Alderman Carr,
Yes.
Alderman Messina,
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski,
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames,
Yes.
Alderman Artie Woods,
Yes.
Alderman Catalano.
Yes.
And that passes. Next, approval of proposal from h and H Electric Company for the installation of streetlights on Forest Preserve Drive between Mill and Prospect Avenue. Amount not to exceed $59,825.67. That is my motion.
Second.
Full disclosure before, I'll talk about it. So this is on my street, full disclosure. This was brought forward. We're one of the only streets in the area that does not have streetlights, and a resident brought it forward on the block. She brought forward the petition. I walked with her, and overwhelmingly, the response was yes, and the results were included in the packet. So I'll let you talk about it. But
Yes, you summed up nicely. We did get a petition from the good folks over on Forest Preserve Drive.
the great folks.
The required number of signatures. We sent out the survey, and we got the majority response in the affirmative. So we received a proposal from H&H to do the installation, kind of mirroring the streets to the north of here. And while we didn't fund it in the CIP this year, just like the facade program, we said we would bring it back to the committee if we got a viable project for their direction to fund it or not.
Any questions on this one? Roll call, please.
Just one question. So when we put up the lights, they're going to be in between the homes, not in front of the homes?
Yeah, the actual spacing or the actual location is kind of based on not exceeding the recommended spacing and the utilities and the trees and the driveways and all that, but it's going to be as close to the property lines as possible,
Okay.
whenever feasible.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Artwoods? Alderman Curley,
Yes.
Alderman Carr,
Yes.
Alderman Messina,
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski,
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames,
Yes.
Alderman Artie Woods,
Yes.
Alderman Catalano.
Of course, yes.
And that passes. Next, approval of an agreement between the City of Wooddale and Season Comfort Corporation for HVAC annual preventative maintenance in an amount not to exceed $41,734 annually. That is my motion.
Second?
Director Lang, what kind of maintenance are we getting for $41,000?
So we're trying to consolidate all the preventative maintenance for HVAC systems under one contractor. Currently, we have one for City Hall and PD and one for all of our public works facilities. Just for ease of management, we're trying to bring it all under one, hopefully bring that price down and make managing the contract a little bit easier. We issued a request for proposals. We got, I think, 6 proposals back. Seasons Comfort was the low proposal. We checked their references, and they have overwhelmingly positive responses from other municipalities who have used them for over 10 years, some of them. So we recommend awarding them the agreement, beginning January 1st, 2026.
Wasn't the combined amount higher than this, though? By combined, wasn't the amount 48,000 or something with the other?
So there was we issued the RFP with the inventory that we had, which wasn't a complete inventory. We knew that going in, specifically for North Plant and the new Public Works facility building. So we knew that whichever firm we brought on was going to have to, first step, do an audit and get a full inventory put together and then base their pricing on that. So any contractor that we selected would have to amend their proposal accordingly. But Seasons Comfort came in, they did the audit swiftly, and this is their updated price from their proposal.
That is the updated price? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Awesome. Any questions on this one? Alderman Curley?
I think it's a silly question. It says vehicle maintenance, that's the building, not...
Correct. Yeah, that's what we call the
I've asked
720
that in the
building now.
past, too.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Artwoods,
Yes.
Alderman Curley,
Yes.
Alderman Carr,
Yes.
Alderman Messina,
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski,
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames,
Yes.
Alderman Artie Woods,
Yes.
Alderman Catalano.
Yes.
And that passes. Next, updating the master license agreement for fiber optic cable installation in public right-of-way. That is my motion.
Second?
Director Lane.
Thank you. So we updated, or we initiated our master license agreement template back in February for fiber optic installations, and we began implementing that both with new providers as well as some of the providers that already have infrastructure in place. And during the permitting process, there were some clarifications we felt were needed, specifically for documentation needed to verify the length of the conduit installed so we could accurately assess the fees, and for larger projects, granting the city the autonomy to determine the number of permits that we break it up into, which would impact that base annual fee as well.
Any questions? Alderman Woods?
In that agreement, is there anything that touches on the maintenance or repair of infrastructure that's, say, not completely restored or damaged by them?
And
period, if that would cover us.
Yeah, so the agreement specifies that restorations are to be completed satisfactorily within 10 days of the installation. Now, obviously, there's some extenuating circumstances, if it's the dead of winter, or something we figure it would be better to hold off until spring or have them review it in spring as well. We've been trying to stay on top of that better with our inspection process as well.
So what about the time period, warranty period, if you will, right? When they do the finger holes in the streets and 3 months later that finger hole sinks 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, the, property that they dug up in the parkways caves in, what's our recourse on that? Because sometimes they're speedy, but, the job's not really complete.
Right. As I've said, we've tried to increase our inspection process. Now, that's typically at the end of the installation. We'll verify that everything's complete. Now, going back, a warranty is typically for 1 year for most projects. We don't have anything in place currently, although we've discussed implementing, going back and reviewing all these places 1 year after installation as well. But typically, we get a call, something sank, something wasn't, restored desirably. We'll call these contractors. A lot of them we receive multiple permits from, so they're willing to work with us, and they'll usually go touch it up for us.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Any other questions on this one? Roll call, please.
Alderman Art Woods.
Yes.
Alderman Currielli.
Yes.
Alderman Carr.
Yes.
Alderman Messina.
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski.
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames.
Yes.
Alderman Artie Woods.
Yes.
Alderman Catalano.
Yes.
And that passes. And finally, approval of a proposal from John Neary Construction Corporation Incorporated for the Pine Lane Water Main Installation Project in an amount not to exceed $90,190. That is my motion.
Second?
Director?
Thank you, Chairman. There is a segment of Pine Lane Wood subdivision which was never completed. There are 6 parcels that front this segment here. 3 are currently unincorporated, 3 are incorporated, but there's no utilities to serve these areas, as well as no street. As permits have been coming online, we've been having them extend the road and the utilities to the edge of their property line to serve their property. But given that we have interest from 3 of the 6 now to submit permits, and there's no available water system in front of their property, they can either run exceptionally long service lines on angles across the roadway to connect, which is not ideal for us, or we could have them extend the water main to the edge of their property, leaving a dead end, which again, not something that we want in our system. So we're proposing to close this loop, install the water main while we have a contractor mobilized on the Addison Road water main project to give these properties here an access point to tap onto. We've discussed at the staff level assessing an additional tap-on fee to these properties to recoup some of those costs, and there will likely be an ordinance suggesting that at one of the council meetings forthcoming.
Alderman Messina?
2 questions, comments. I guess question 1, would they qualify for the fee, the tap-on credit, I guess?
I'm looking for Stacy. Did she leave?
At one point we were offering.
There's some homes there.
At one point, we were offering, to incent folks to incorporate, we were offering discounts on tap-on fees.
We do have such a program.
Yeah.
And it was to, just as you said, incentivize people to actually annex to the community, so people could apply, and I think the maximum was $5,000, but I'd have to...
Do the 5 rate, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Did these properties, were they approached with that offer, or?
They have not yet been. There is a property on the north side, like immediately south of that one house that's existing on the west side of the street. That property is already incorporated, and the 2 at the southerly end are already incorporated. So there are 3 lots in the middle owned by different individuals that we could reach out
That would
with
be
that.
ideal.
Go ahead.
You answered my next question, which was a good thing, at least in my mind. Different individuals, and I guess I have to ask the mayor if it's okay to say this, but like, do we do any scrubbing of nonsense of recapture agreements? That's something we can,
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, if there's a recapture agreement in place, and there is in connection with this one, I have been in touch with the developer on that to see if, something can be worked out. Obviously, that puts a large financial burden on the property owners, which then dissuades them from looking at developing that property. So those discussions are ongoing about, perhaps some type of a waiver, and some of the interest on that's accrued recapture agreement was not ever intended to last this long with properties undeveloped. It's really intended just to simply bring those properties into.
So there is a recapture currently?
There is.
Okay.
Mayor?
Yeah, but if we're putting in the line, what are we talking about recapture for with somebody else? We're connecting two lines.
Go ahead, Attorney Bond.
Yeah, we would not have a recapture agreement. There would be a fee, a water sewer expansion fee that's provided for under the Illinois Municipal Code for the corporate authorities to do that. That would be a cost that, rather than have it wait to develop, that would be a cost that the property owners would pay upon permitting. And we would continue before this gets implemented to work with the property. There's a recapture agreement in place by a developer on these properties, not anything related to the city at all.
Right, Alderman Messina?
Just one, yeah, I mean, if there's any way can we be a part of the conversation, not the recapture conversations, but the tap-on fee assistance, if you are having those conversations with those folks. We want to make sure that historically that area has been very hard to develop because of some of these agreements, and so we just want to make sure that we make it as easy as possible to develop.
Yes, so to answer your question, yes, this is a good opportunity, once the water main is in, for us to reach out and say, hey, the water main's available. Usually a developer in this instance would pay for the water main. It's not typical for the city to pay for it. And that's why Attorney Bond was suggesting, hey, we can actually have these people pay their proportionate share back. Illinois state law allows for us to pass such an ordinance. And so that's something we could do. And if those things were in place, that's a good opportunity for us to reach out to these property owners and say, hey, water main's now available. This is how much you would have to pay to reimburse the city if that's something the council wants to do. And there's this tap-on fee incentive grant that you can apply for.
Thank you.
Alderman Woods?
Yeah, so just for clarity, are we paying a recapture fee or anything to tie the two pieces together?
Attorney Bond?
The city would not be paying anything toward the recapture.
So,
follow-up?
Next question, follow-up. So our expense is the cost of running the pipe from one pipe to the other to complete the loop. And going back to Alderman Messina's question, that was our intent way back when we looked at the maps and went looking at all the unincorporated areas and the little intermittent spots that had 3 to 5 lots of unincorporated, to make it affordable or accelerate the process of people coming in and willing to build instead of costing them 20, 25, 30,000. I mean, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, we were almost going to give it away. We were going to waive all the incorporation fees and the consolidation fees or any other fees that they had. And I think I can't remember now if it was just limited to the 5,000. 5,000 for sewer and 5,000 for water.
Right.
I think it was. But we can check. Whatever we can do to lessen the burden. I know we wind up paying the cost, but I look at all the other things we just paid for. This is minimal compared to some.
Attorney Bond?
Yeah, one of the things that staff, consistent with the direction that and discussions that have been held previously, was to have, by establishing this expansion fee, it would serve as an incentive to get these other ones, the outliers, a couple that are unincorporated, to get these to jump on the city system. And this would be an incentive for them to do it by having the city, put the installation, take care of that, and then just assess. And the amount of that expansion fee is still being discussed by staff, but to assess that to the property, which would allow them to then connect into the system, and it would be a unified system. It would allow for the looping, and it would also not have an impact where you're doing these in piecemeal. This would be a unified solution to the problem.
All in favor?
Messina?
One follow-up, kind of unrelated to the tap-on, but I'm reminded of the torture and the numerous phone calls that Alderman Jacob and I got during that time, is there a way to proactively let these people know that they cannot just cut down every single tree on the property, and that let them know about our policy? Maybe overextending the ask, but like, it was a nightmare on the other lot when they built on that, and they just cut down everything aimlessly and then asked for forgiveness later.
Who wants to take that one? Director Springer looks like she's got an answer.
I don't expect anything.
I'm not necessarily sure I'm following what the issue was previously, but our code does encourage the preservation of trees, but we can't require the preservation of trees on individual single-family home properties. So they have the ability to take those trees down if they would like.
We can talk offline. I'll remind you what happened.
Okay.
Peter probably remembers better.
Okay. Alderman Woods?
So in the past, maybe I'm thinking of something different, because I remember contractors sitting right there kind of complaining to us that they had to replace every tree they cut down, so they went in and cut down 10, 15 trees and then had to replace them. So there are some things in the zoning code or code itself to cover some of that. I think that's where we go back and forth on this. Sometimes they come in and they clear cut it. I know, I can't remember the street, but it was in Messina and Jacobs Ward where they took two houses. Yeah, there you go, thank you. And just clear cut the whole thing.
Manager Murmas?
Yeah, I remember that actually, and I think that particular case was, we had a problem because they were not annexed in yet, they were unincorporated, so what they did do is they clear cut all the trees before they had to comply with our rules and regulations. I believe there were two parcels.
The other people, I think, were on commercial.
Yeah, I'm talking.
Down the block, right, the ones, the Hemlock ones, you're correct, that was the nutty.
But there's also one on Pine too. There was definitely one on Pine. We could talk offline about it. I don't remember the exact.
Director Springer?
In the one that you're talking about where there were two lots next to each other, they were required to install and replace trees, but there was a maximum in the UDO that says they only had to replace no more than 6 or 7 trees. So.
Any other questions on this one? Roll call, please.
Alderman Art Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Curley,
Yes.
Alderman Carr?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski?
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames?
Yes.
Alderman Artie Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
And that passes. Items to be considered at future meetings, Hawthorne sidewalk in September. One thing I was going to ask about the Prospect sidewalk, is that something we need to consider at a future meeting, or is that something being looked at with the Boeing?
Refresh my memory on that one.
Where the 2 sidewalk panels are
Yes.
right across from Georgetown?
Yes, I don't think it needs to be addressed at a meeting.
Okay, that's something
We'll
we're...
handle that, yeah,
okay.
operational.
I'm just...
In the near future. Right.
Okay, we could talk offline if it's not something that needs... Anyone else have anything else they'd like to add to items? No? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor? Any opposed? We are adjourned.
I'd like to call the Finance and Administration Committee meeting to order. Let the minute taker note the same people are present. And up first, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting dated June 12th, 2020.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That passes. Next up, report and recommendation. There is one. City Hall Rehabilitation Project Timing Update. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, so we're before you this evening, I guess trying to basically flip-flop the Ward 1 Stormwater Project and the City Hall Rehab Project. Through no fault of the city or Mr. Lang or anybody, the Stormwater Project's taken longer to come together than we had thought between county permits, the GIGO grant from the state, and a few other things. At this point, he's hoping to get it on the September bid, get it approved a little bit later this year, then start in the spring, summer of next year. I believe if it doesn't make the September one, it just kind of pushes everything back even a few more months. In conversations with the engineer and construction manager for the City Hall project, they had indicated that our initial timeline, waiting until next fall, next winter, could lead to, what did they say, Jeff, 10 to 15% price escalation between just timing itself, the uncertainty in tariffs, pricing, things of that nature. So when we looked at it, we said, okay, these projects are roughly a similar amount. The ones being delayed until the spring, summer anyways. Would it be possible to pull this project up, use the funding for that project this year, then use the project for the City Hall project next year to construct the stormwater project? We did lay out some of the financials in the memo, so that's what we're looking for you this evening, is to kind of, that's staff's recommendation is to swap those two projects to try to get this done, and try to save the city, you know, maybe 100, 150,000, 200,000, depending on the price escalations between now and next fall, when the City Hall project would have originally gone to bid. I think that's all I have. Jeff, do you have anything else? No.
Alderman Woods?
Is this a one-for-one swap? Like, if the Public Works project is $1 million, is City Hall rehab $1 million? Or is one higher than the other?
Sorry, Director Wilson, go ahead.
It's not exactly a one-for-one, but they are fairly close, especially when you consider the GIGO grant that we got from the state and that matching component of it. So really, I guess, to answer your question, they're close to each other, but the actual answer to that question is going to be when the bids come in and what each project actually costs. But they are close between what we budgeted for the City Hall project itself, and then we did put some money, you recall in the CIP, some additional money into the IT budget for the fob system, that we would obviously reallocate that over to the project this year anyway. So we'd still be using that money for the same purpose. It would just be part of that larger project this year instead of a project this year and then the bigger project next year.
So you're looking for direction, not necessarily to swap, but to move the timeline? Director Olson, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Really the same thing. I guess just concurrence that the council knows that staff's recommendation, and that I guess you would be fine with us doing that, given the timing of the stormwater project and the potential cost implications for waiting another year for the City Hall project.
Swapping priorities, what I meant to say, I think. Okay.
Pretty much.
Alderman Woods?
Yeah, so going back to that and assuming that they're very close, would the Public Works project not also have a price escalation of the same 10 to 15%? So I guess we don't hit the September, does it really matter if we hit November and it pushes it back a month or 2 months? Isn't the potential savings the lost one versus the other, or at least equal?
Director Wilson?
Sure, so there's always, I think, going to be some price sensitivity in that. I think the City Hall project wouldn't be until next November, so 14 months from now, versus possibly, I don't know, is there another fall letting for the state after the September one?
Director Lang?
So at this point right now, we don't have our permit from DuPage County Stormwater Management, and after, we're waiting on finalizing the bid documents when we have their response. Assuming there's not another resubmittal, this is the second resubmittal so far. Assuming there's not another one, we probably wouldn't be ready to go to bid until probably late September, early October at this point. And then, at that point, you're not starting construction. At the most, you're maybe clearing some trees over the winter and not starting construction until the ground thaws next spring. So while the bid date moves maybe a matter of a month or two, the actual construction commencement wouldn't be till next spring, so we wouldn't begin to incur those costs really until really the following fiscal year.
Okay.
One quick follow-up. So I get everything you said, and when I look at the water tank, water tower, however we want to phrase that, and there's always a shortage of municipal contractors, road, water, infrastructure. It seems like the people that are first out of the gate in the start of the year, first cycle, are getting the better pricing. As we're later in the cycle, it's worse pricing. I don't know that you can answer that question. I'm just those are questions that jump into my head when we talk about swapping these things back and forth, especially based on the conversations we just had. across
Yeah, and we're not proposing to move
projects.
when we bid the stormwater project. That's just where it's lining up to be. We had every intention of bidding it this year and starting construction this year, had the GEICO agreement gotten to us sooner, had the permitting process not taken as long. So we're not proposing to move the bid date. It's just this is, where we happen to be, and it works out nicely where, this project is delayed on its own, and we have the opportunity to advance another project.
Thank you.
Yeah, so all the right-of-way agreements, that's all done finally?
So we do have the parcel at the corner of 83 where the detention basin is going to go purchased. That is done. We are still attempting to acquire some easements from the unincorporated property along Oak Meadows Drive. So that is still in process.
Right. And the permitting process with the county, is that resolved? Because I was speaking to the director 2 weeks ago.
Director Lang?
We have not received the permit yet. They asked us to go back and do some surveying of some of the properties around that basin, where the proposed basin would be, to make sure that we're not negatively impacting any of them.
Okay.
And we since resubmitted our findings and the other amendments that they asked us to make to the plans, and we're still waiting on the review of the resubmittal.
Anything else, Mayor?
No.
Anybody else? Okay. Roll call, please.
Alderman Art Woods.
This is to move, swap, push up.
Reprioritize,
Yes.
yep. Push up, okay.
Alderman Currielli.
Yes.
Alderman Carr.
Yes.
Alderman Messina.
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski.
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames.
Yes.
Alderman Artie Woods.
Yes.
Alderman Catalano.
Yes.
And that passes. Items to be considered at future meetings.
Yeah, I have one I want to bring up. So next year we have Cyrus One supposedly coming online. I know in the past we talked about getting rid of the vehicle stickers. So this is new revenue. Before we're talking about getting rid of them and then we have to make up that money. But here we have new revenue. Before we start allocating all that new revenue, maybe we should have a discussion before we start going out for art contests and all this stuff.
I'll make a motion to eliminate the city stickers.
Second.
Oh, I can't do that.
Can't do that.
And-
That's not on agenda.
It's not on the agenda.
I get,
Some safety implications, but we can't discuss here.
Right. No, I-
So, all right. Any other topics for future agenda?
I'm open to that discussion.
Okay. So, City Attorney Bond, is there anything I need to do?
I think staff got an inclination of what the future discussion might look like, so.
Okay, great. So is there a motion, I'll make the motion to adjourn the Finance and Administration Committee. Okay, all in favor? All right, we are adjourned.